I've been wanting to get a daily driver for the longest. I've actually not seen this car yet in person. This is gonna be my first time seeing the car in person, especially in this color, but I think it's pretty special, so I'm really excited. This is a car that I've always wanted, well before it even existed. Welcome, my 2023 GR Corolla. I feel super blessed to call the Corolla mine, so let's go ahead and take it to a nice spot where I'll tell you guys more so about my car and why I chose the Corolla in particular. I think red was definitely the right choice for the Corolla. So why the Corolla for me? Well, I've always loved hatchbacks and I've always loved Toyotas. My first car that I bought myself was my 2018 Toyota 86. I've loved every moment of that car and it's never really given me any major issues, so it's safe to say I just really like Toyota reliability. I know it has a Subaru motor, but ultimately it is still a Toyota. So I've really enjoyed that car. And at the time of buying it, I actually was looking at hatchbacks because I've always really wanted a hatchback. But the hatchbacks at the time weren't really much of an interest to me. I was looking at cars like the Focus ST or the Golf GTI. And while they're great cars, I just don't really see myself buying a Volkswagen or a Ford. Hate me all you want for it, it's just not my preference. Well, when Toyota came out with this, I was pleasantly surprised and I thought it looked great. And when I saw it for the first time at the dealership, I loved the way it looked. Dude, it's so bassy. Oh, look at that. Dude, that's so nice in the sun. The candy pops when you bring it out. In the sun, it's a completely different color, I think. It looks nice though. I like it. I'm glad I went with red. It was either this, gray, or white. I think red stands out the most. Since that day at the dealership, it's actually been 10 months that I've owned the Corolla. And simply put, I just got super busy. I was finishing up my last year of college and I just recently graduated, so it's gonna give me a lot more opportunity to film the car, so I figured we could do a formal introduction on the Corolla because I have some really cool plans for this thing and I'd love to bring you guys along for the ride because I think the Corolla is a really good platform to mod, and even in stock form, it's great. I mean, one of my favorite things is just how much stuff this car already has from the factory. We've got big brakes, two-piece rotors, a vented hood, nice wide arches on the fender. I mean, it's just a wide body compared to the base Corolla, which is just, I mean, ultimately a completely different car, but one of my favorite things is just how wide it is. You can see, I mean, that's no regular Corolla right there. This thing looks really, really good. And one of my favorite things about it also is the roof. So if you can kind of see through the glare, it's got a forged carbon roof on the car, which is insane because what Corolla comes with a forged carbon roof? What car actually comes with a forged carbon roof that's not like a hypercar? Like, this is crazy that they put it on a Corolla, but I think it's awesome. And the reason I have that on my car is because this is actually the Circuit Edition. So I'll show you guys one of the coolest things about this car is it's a 1 of 1500 model. So right there, it says 1 of 1500 for the 2023 year with the Circuit Edition. And what's super nice is you do get these nicer leather seats with the Alcantara stitching on them. I think it just looks really good. And overall, I think the Circuit Edition is just the way to go. It is a little bit more expensive than the Core, but I mean, you just get a nicer interior, you get a vented hood, you get the spoiler, you get the roof. Like, it's really a cool car. Even it says GR4 on the intercooler, which is awesome. This thing truly is beautiful, and I'm so happy to formally introduce it to the channel because I've driven this thing. I've put over 10,000 miles on it in the 10 months that I've owned it, and it's been nothing but great. I really was worried that going with a 3-cylinder car that makes 300 horsepower, I mean, that's 100 horsepower per cylinder. I was really worried that that could cause some problem for reliability, but ultimately, one of the reasons I really like this car is it is a Toyota, so it's got Toyota reliability in it, which I don't want to speak too soon because I've only had it for, you know, almost a year now, but I think from what I can tell, it's been super good so far. I haven't really had any issues. There are some things that seem kind of unrefined, but I think that's just part of the Corolla. because one of the things even is like the roof, for example. It has a really wavy texture to it, and I did PPF the roof because originally it came matte, and I think it just didn't really flow. Like, you've got gloss on the hood vents, gloss on the fender vents, on the side mirrors, and on your spoiler especially. So I think gloss on the roof just made more sense. But initially I was like, oh man, the PPF doesn't look all that good. But if you look at a factory roof that doesn't have PPF on it, it also has kind of a wavy texture to it. And that's one of the things that I think Toyota is just trying to make this thing feel more raw and more like kind of unrefined, and that kind of adds to the driving. Because I mean, you hear stuff like when you put it in gear, you really hear it going into gear, and when you're gassing it, you can really hear the turbo, and you get a lot of road noise with the car. But at the same time, it's kind of what makes this car so special, is it doesn't ride like, you know, a regular Corolla. It still has the comfort of a regular Corolla, which is one of my favorite things. It's got lane assist. It's crazy. You can literally shift gear while it's in cruise control, and it'll let off the gas for you. This car, not exactly, I'm exaggerating, but borderline drives itself, which is crazy. In the 10 months that I've owned the car, I have slightly modded it, and they've been very minor things, but I think they do make a big difference to the car. So one of the more noticeable things is my tires. So the factory tire is a 235, and I upgraded it to a 245 Cup 2. So what it does is it fills the wheel gap a little bit better, and it just, in my opinion, looks like how the car should have came. And the inspiration for this was actually the Morizo edition of the Corolla, which is a two-seater, like bare bones, stripped down racing version of the GR Corolla, which is like the step technically above the Circuit Edition. But me personally, I think the Circuit Edition is the way to go, because you get the nicer interior. I mean, why would you want two seats on a four-door car? I get it if it's your race car, but I mean, I'm using this thing as my daily driver, so I really wanted a back seat in it. But basically what I'm getting at is the Morizo edition came factory with a Cup 2 in this tire size, and I think it just makes the car really stand out. And to be honest, I don't want to lower this car. I probably will do something in the future, but at factory height, I think it looks really good, especially with these tires. And the cool little markings they have, like the little checkered flag, looks super sick. And yeah, just overall, in my opinion, makes the car look better. Moving on to the next thing, I did black out my headlights. So factory, they have like an orange indicator here. I mean, it looks all right, but on a red car, I don't really like that look too much. So the Euro spec cars and the ones in Japan have essentially this headlight. All it is just a vinyl overlay, but it covers it pretty well. And I also did PPF the full front of the car, the side skirts, the rear wide body, the roof's PPF. So simply put, everything on the car is PPF'd except for my doors and my quarter panels, but I mean the wide body's PPF'd as well. So that's really nice. You know, it's a brand new car. It had like 20 miles on it when I bought it, so I wanted to make sure that we protect it. Another thing that I really wanted to do on the car was these forged carbon vents. So I've got them on the hood, on my fenders, and also on my side mirrors. So from the factory, the car comes with the forged carbon roof. But what never made sense to me was that was the only forged carbon on the car. So it kind of, like, to me, I want my car to flow. I feel like if you have one thing, it needs to flow with everything else on the car. And I'll show you kind of what I mean by it doesn't flow too much. So you've got the forged carbon on the roof, and then you've got a gloss black spoiler. I feel like they should either both be gloss black, or at least like it should have a section that kind of fades out. And when I say fade, like just curve away, or maybe just make the whole thing forged carbon. But having a straight line that goes forged carbon to gloss black, I just don't think it really works that well. So I ended up just doing the gloss PPF to kind of fade it out a little bit. Like from here, you can't really tell. But I think with these were gloss black from the factory. I think now it's like I have more forged carbon. It's like an accent to the car versus just the one thing on the car being forged carbon is the roof. So I've got that to flow everything together. One thing you can't really see on the car is the pitch mount. So that just helps with shifting and kind of keeping everything more so in place, because a common issue that people have with this car is they'll grind their gears. I've had it happen to me a few times, and I don't think it's a driver issue. I genuinely think you have your clutch in all the way, you put it in a gear, and for whatever reason it grinds. But ever since upgrading the pitch mount, I haven't had a single grind. So it seems like that's really the biggest thing causing that. So if you replace that, it feels a lot better for shifting. But other than that, I mean, here's the car. What do you guys think we should do to it? I think in stock form, it looks good, but there's two options here. Well, I'm sure there's more, but I think this would make an excellent rally car. It's a hatchback, it's all-wheel drive, it's manual, it's got a really cool sounding 3-cylinder turbo. I think this would be an excellent rally car. So even at stock height, I think it looks good, but we could lift it. We could do fog lights. We could do a roof rack. We could even do a wide body to it. That'd be sick. You know, a wide body on top of the wide body. I'd love to do something custom, or, you know, I could just go for the OEM Plus look like I did with my 8.6. Give it a slight amount of low, maybe space out the stock wheels. I have tracked the car and I've even drifted it. I know it's all-wheel drive, that sounds crazy, but it's an excellent drift car. It's an excellent track car in bone stock form. I haven't drifted it now that it's on the Cup 2s, but in grip driving, this car just feels amazing. I mean, it's literally unlimited grip. If you've interacted with my videos in any way, whether that's good or bad, I thank you for that. I love the feedback I've received. I've been doing YouTube for 9 years. I recently took a break from doing long form content, but I've been doing short form, long form, everything. So shout out to my mom for actually convincing me to create content. I was like 13 years old and she told me I need to make content, and I was really hesitant. I was just super scared to be on camera. I hated my voice. I feel like everyone feels that way when they hear their voice on camera, but I'm super glad that I decided to do it, and I'm super appreciative for my friends and family and everyone that's been along for the ride. If you've watched the videos, negative, positive, like, I appreciate it all, because I feel like genuinely it's all shaped me to become who I am today. And I just am so appreciative, because I mean, this is one of my dream cars. I've always wanted a cool hatchback, so I'm super blessed to be able to make videos that I absolutely love and pick up a car that's one of my dream cars. These things are super hard to get, so even being able to buy one just because of how rare they are is super cool to me, and I appreciate it so much. But other than that, if you did enjoy the video and want to see many more just like it and more on the new Corolla, please do make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next one.